Welcome everyone to our weekly shiur on the Parashat with the Perush of the Zera Shimshon. May the zechut be a melitz yosher for Kol Am Yisrael and bring us yeshuot v'nehamot, release the hostages, give a refuah shelema to Kol Chole Am Yisrael, safeguard our soldiers and bring them home to their families safely. I want to send a special thank you to our sponsors. There are those that have sponsored the shiur anonymously, and I've already have had in mind their request. May HaKadosh Baruch Hu give them kol mish'alot libam letova be'ezrat Hashem. So we're doing Parashat. What Parashat are we on? Okay, we'll do Parashat Yitro because you asked. Parashat Yitro, Derush Yud Aleph, the 11th Derush of the Parsha. Everybody knows what the Zera Shimshon is, right? Everybody already? Yes? You guys all have heard the Zera Shimshon? All right, good. So we don't need that introduction tonight. Fantastic. Very interesting midrash that the Zera Shimshon will bring out. There is a midrash called Midrash Peli'ah. Midrash Peli'ah. Okay, so what are midrashim? Midrashim are things that Chazal have written. Many of which are the same timing, or even before some, same timing as the Talmud, as the Gemara was written. There's different midrashim, Midrash Rabbah, and this is called Midrash Peli'ah. Midrash Peli'ah, Pele, in Hebrew basically means a wonder, like a wondrous thing. Midrash Peli'ah has many very wondrous midrashim in it, things that sometimes you could say like you can't really understand. And a lot of midrashim are like that. A lot of midrashim are like not to be taken really quite literally. This midrash is very interesting that he brings. He says, this is at the time that Moshe Rabbeinu goes to receive the Torah in Shamayim from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And there's a midrash Peli'ah that talks about something that happens when Moshe Rabbeinu goes to receive the Torah. Guaranteed, you've never heard of this. Guaranteed. Okay, listen. It says, Midrash mi Sefer Peli'ah. There's a midrash in Sefer Peli'ah. Kesha'ala Moshe lamarom. When Moshe Rabbeinu went into the heavens to receive the Torah, Metzau lakadosh baruch hu shaya omer Chava. He found Hashem was calling out Chava. Amar lo. So Moshe Rabbeinu turns to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and says, and asks him, Riboneh de'alma, my Chava. Creator of the universe, master of the universe. What is Chava? What's the meaning of, why are you screaming out Chava, so to speak? Amar lo, HaKadosh Baruch Hu turned to Moshe Rabbeinu and he said, Ki hi hayta em kol chai, because Chava was the mother of all living things, mother of all life. The women are, I'm just going to tell you right now, the women are going to really love this shiur tonight. It specifically has been dedicated to all hard-working, not working women out there. Don't matter, you're working, you're not working, this shiur is going to be dedicated to you. Amarlo. So Hashem said, the reason is because Kihi em kol chai, she is the mother of all life. Amarlo, so Moshe Rabbeinu says, Riboneh da'alma imken tikra'ena chaya. If that's who she is, why not call her chaya? Chaya means, it could mean like a life giver, giver of a life or a living, right? So why is she called Chava? She should be Chaya because she's the mother of all Chai. Chayim, she's the mother of all life. And then, so he says, Amar lo, Hashem replies to Moshe Rabbeinu saying, Chava b'mispar katan em kol chai. Chava happens to be the mispar katan of em kol chai, meaning the numerical value of the word Chava. You remember we discussed a few times in this shiur about gematrias, right? The numerical values of letters, the Hebrew letters. There's something called mispar katan, which technically translated means small number. So there's different ways to do gematriot. There's different ways to calculate the numerical values of the Hebrew letters. Mispar katan, basically, the word mispar katan, the way it works is that it takes into account only numbers without their zeros. So for instance, a 10 turns into a 1. 90 is a 9. 80 is an 8. So when you take the mispar katan of the word chava, it spells out M kol chai. It's the same numerical value as M kol chai. There's a lot of secrets behind mispar katan. So actually, mispar katan is going to have a significance here as well as to why the gematria had to be the small gematria, not the full gematria. And that is basically the quote from Midrash Pelia. Very peculiar. Like Moshe Rabbeinu goes into the heavens to receive the Torah, and he hears God saying Chava, and he says, "Well, what's Chava?" First of all, you don't know who Chava is. Okay, so why is Moshe Rabbeinu even asking, like, what's Chava? And Hashem answering, because she's the mother of all life. What does that have to do with anything, right? And then Moshe Rabbeinu says, if so, she should be called Chaya. No, you know why she's called Chava? Because the mispar katan of Chava is the same as Em Kol Chai, the mother of all life. Right? Very interesting. Pele. So he says, and this is a Pele. It's wondrous. It's difficult to understand. Kishmo, just like its name. It's a midrash Peli'ah. It's a very wondrous midrash. Why did Hashem need to say the word Chava? Especially, specifically, when Moshe Rabbeinu is going up to receive the Torah, what does Chava got to do with Moshe Rabbeinu receiving the Torah at this moment? Right? I mean, I know many men have that question in general. What's she got to do with anything? All right? But in this sense, like, why at that moment, when we're receiving the Torah, why did Hashem say Chava? Moreover, why is it that Moshe Rabbeinu is asking God, what is Chava? What is your question? You don't know Chava? Right? Didn't Moshe Rabbeinu know also that Chava was named Chava because she's the mother of all life? It's in Bereshit, right? When Adam calls his wife Chava, he says, Kihi haita em kol chai. He called her Chava because she's the mother of all life. She's the life giver. She's the life source. So we notice this is pure info in the beginning of the Torah. The Torah says explicitly why Adam Arishon called his wife Chava, because she's the mother of all life. So what's this question Moshe Rabbeinu is asking? Why Chava? And now all of a sudden, why don't you call her Chaya? And then Hashem has to answer back, because it's the same numerical value, mispar katan of Chava. What happened here? Okay. Everybody got those so far? Questions? Good. We're not going to answer all the questions probably, but we'll get most of them out of the way. But my main purpose tonight is to really bring out the beauty of what the Zera Shimshon is bringing out from this midrash about very important stuff. Very important stuff. L'chaim, everybody. Bah. Amen. Veyuvan says this can be understood with what it says in Midrash Rabbah, in Shemot Rabbah 28:2, it says on the pasuk, Ko tomar levet Yaakov. So the pasuk says, when Hashem told Moshe Rabbeinu to go and teach the Torah to Bnei Israel, Ko tomar levet Yaakov. He says, this is how you should say it to Bet Yaakov. Who's Bet Yaakov? Beis Yaakov? Beis Yaakov? It's the girls, right? That's why it's called Beis Yaakov. It's called Beis Yaakov because Bet Yaakov in the Torah means the daughters of Yaakov. Bait, you should know, in Torah language, Bait pretty much always means the woman. Why? Because the woman is the woman of the house. She the owner of the house. She owned you. She owned the house. You might not know it, but you'll feel it. It's like a gut feeling, right? So the last time the man can actually act as if he has a say in anything, like I am, is when he says, Hare atmen, here you are now, betrothed to me, I am buying you into my life. That's the last time any man has ever felt like he has a say in anything. Once that happens, it's like done. Now she becomes the akeret habayit, she becomes the queen of the home, which is the way it's supposed to be, right? So bayit refers to women. In the Talmud, in the Torah, you'll see it. The reason why the woman of the house is called a house, a bayit also, is because a woman has to always be looked upon as something tsanua, something that is modest. And a house is enclosed, it's closed. It represents modesty, it represents privacy. So the woman is referred to as a bayit in the Torah and in the Gemara. So when Hashem says to Moshe Rabbeinu, Ko tomar lebet Yaakov, this is what I want you to say to Bet Yaakov. Now, house of Yaakov, meaning the children of Yaakov, or the daughters of Israel. It's referring to the women. When did this happen? Hashem said to Moshe Rabbeinu, before you teach the Torah to the men, you tell it to the women. You teach the Torah to the women first. In that pasuk, Hashem is ordering Moshe Rabbeinu to begin the teaching course, the Torah course, with the women first, not the men. Surprisingly, it was first the women and then the men. Elu hanashim. Velama lanashim techila. Why is it that Hashem asked Moshe Rabbeinu to teach the Torah to the women first and not the men? After all, men are the best. We all know it, right? At least all the men know it. I'm kidding. It's funny because people that are listening to my voice and don't see my expressions in videos or in person probably think I'm being very serious. It's sarcasm there. So why was it? Why did Hashem order Moshe Rabbeinu to give it to the women first and not the men? After all, the men have the obligation of Torah. Are women really obligated in all the mitzvot of the Torah? No, they're not. Plain and simple. Most of the mitzvot of the Torah, women are not obligated in. It is the way it is, right? So you would think that the fact that men have all the obligations of the Torah, they should receive the Torah first. They should learn the Torah first from Moshe Rabbeinu, and then the women. But it's not like that. It's the opposite. So he's asking, why? So he answers, Kedei sheyu megadelot benehem la Torah. Why? Because the woman is the one who will be responsible to teach Torah to her children. This is so incredibly important. The Torah of the home revolves around the woman of the house. The father is the teacher of Torah, don't get me wrong. He's responsible to pay the tuition. He's responsible to learn Gemara with the child. Whether it's a girl or a boy, depending on it's a girl or a boy, the different things that the father has to teach the child, meaning in detail. Let's sit down, I want to teach you the Gemara, That's when he's in 6th grade. Okay? From birth, I'll scratch that. From before birth, when the baby's in the womb of the mother, until 4th, 5th grade, who's really the teacher of the child when it comes to spirituality and Torah and ruchniyut, to be a good person and really give the essence of Torah to the child? It's the mother. The father's at work, right? Child wakes up in the morning, father's already hopefully, Bezrat Hashem, the father's already in shacharit, right? The mother's the one who's, okay, let me give you food, and then what do we do first? Al netilat yadayim, yay, let me dry your hands. What do we do first? Torah, siva, lanu. Papa ain't home right now. It's only mommy that's doing all that stuff. And then at night also, most of the time, fathers are not home during bedtime, right? 6 or 7 o'clock at night, many fathers, maybe hopefully they have a shiur that they're going to, they have mincha and arvit they have to do, or their job. If they're working, a lot of fathers work late. So who's putting little baby to bed at night? Mommy. Who's saying Shema with the baby at night? Mommy. Who's doing Torah Tzivanana with the baby at night? Mommy. Who's doing Aleph Bet before he goes or she goes to school? Ima. It's all the mother. Meaning the foundation of Torah and mitzvot is the mother. She's the one who starts them off. And it doesn't end there, by the way. Any good, Baruch Hashem, all are Jewish mothers. They're the ones that are more nervous and more worried about these things than the father. Father's usually more relaxed at the table. Let's say you're sitting at a table, right? You're eating. All right, so let's say your son or your daughter makes a bracha. Right? So father's like, all right, you'll get there. Try to make your brachot louder next time, okay? The mother's like, what are you doing? Did you see that? That was a bracha? The cup hit your mouth louder than the bracha came out of your mouth. Make a bracha. It's like, she gets so into it. Like, you're making Birkat Hamazon, like, nicely. Say, you're praying because to her, it's like, you're praying to Hashem. Hashem is gifting you with food. Father's like, okay, Birkat Hamazon, have kavana. Of course, he understands it, but fathers are more technical. Right? Mothers understand the essence of what it means to worship HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Right? They're the ones that really infuse the child with the love of Torah and mitzvot. The father comes in later to teach. Let me teach you. Let's get cracking, Or if he's not learned enough to teach, he's the one who gets the tutors, who pays the tuitions for Jewish school. Right? He's the one who has to go really work very, very hard. It's not easy to work hard so that the child could get the best Jewish education there is. Right? But the mother is the one who's responsible to really infuse the love for it, to enjoy it. Because when a child sees the mother lighting the Shabbat candles before Shabbat comes in, many women, they're davening, their eyes are closed, tears are coming down. That is the greatest Torah lesson in the world. It'll take a father a year to infuse a child with enough spirituality that a child can get from one time of watching his or her mother light Shabbat candles. No doubt. This is a fact. It's a fact. We'll get to it. So he says, so why did Hashem tell Moshe Rabbeinu first? But Taget Levet Yaakov, tell Bet Yaakov, meaning go teach the Torah to Bet Yaakov before the men? Because they're the ones with that responsibility. He says, Uvehedya, we see in Sanhedrin, in the second chapter of Sanhedrin, we see that this is beautiful. In the story of Merav, this is in Shmuel Bet and Shmuel 1. Shmuel 1 and 2 it says, Shemerav Yalda, Merav had bore those children, Umichal Gadla, meaning there's children that basically the Tanakh says were the children of Michal. Yet we know that they were not Michal's children, they were actually Merav. Merav is no longer in the picture. Michal is the one who raises them and teaches them Torah. And the Tanakh gives credit to Michal as if she's their mother. Why? Because she was the one who actually raised them in mitzvot, in Torah. The woman that raises them in Torah and mitzvot gets the credit of actually being the mother. She's the imma. Why? Because Torah is life. Em kol chai. I will give you life. What's life? Life is our Torah and mitzvot. What are we here for? What is it? What is a Jew on earth for? To refine themselves in Torah and mitzvot and be the best Jew they can. So when a mother raises their child in that way, she's truly given that child life. That's the true life she was given. So he says, Amar lo, so Moshe asked Hashem, Ribono shel olam. So this is why Moshe Rabbeinu replies to Hashem and says, okay, if that's so, that she's the one to get the Torah first because she's the one who infuses them with Torah, she's the one who teaches them and gives them life. Imken tikra'ena chaya. She should be called chaya, not chava. Why is she called chaya? Chava. You should be chaya. Chaya means life. Chava is a little twist to the word chaya, right? Ho'il shein ikar ha'olam. Why? Because the mothers are what is holding up the world. Tikrana chaya leshon chayim. So she should be called chaya because that's the language of life. Amar lo. So Hashem replies to Moshe Rabbeinu and says, Chava b'mispar katan em kol chai. Why? The small numerical value of Chava is the same as the small numerical value of em kol chai, mother of all life. Beautiful. That's why. Because the mother only has that opportunity and only has that real power in the beginning when they're still little. So Hashem was hinting to Moshe Rabbeinu, it's Chava because it's a mispar katan. When the children are small is when she really has the most effect on them. When they're older, the father comes in. That's his job. Hopefully, the father will come in. The mother, of course, still has an effect on the child in a spiritual way. Ruchniut, when a child sees the mother, there's nothing more powerful than when a son or a daughter sees their mother saying Tehillim. I really believe in this. When children see their mothers doing Tehillim at their spare time, you have no idea what an effect that has. Because the child sees, look, my mother could be watching TV. I mean, that's in the 90s. Who's watching TV? And my mother could be on her phone, or she could be watching YouTube, or whatnot. And what is she doing instead? She's doing Tehillim. Nobody has to be needing Tehillim. She just is doing it because she knows that it's good. Why not? She's doing it at her spare time. She's doing Tehillim. So the child sees that, look, what's important to my mother is her ruchniut, her spirituality. She's doing something so unbelievable in her spare time when she could be doing other things for herself, right? That doesn't mean that women shouldn't do other things. Go to your, whatever it is you need to do. Take care of yourself. Women go to gym or whatnot. But the rest of the time, she could still be chilling and relaxing. Believe me, we all know, we all have mothers, Baruch Hashem. They have enough on their plate. They work very, very hard. No one's going to blame them. But even when they have that spare time, they're doing something useful for the world. It's unbelievable. So Hashem said, the reason why she's called Chava is the mispar katan, because the small numerical value without the zeros is the same numerical value as em kol chai. Why small? Because he was trying to indicate to Moshe Rabbeinu, because moms have that opportunity when the baby's small. I just want to go back to one thing that I said. I said the mother is the teacher of her children before they're even born, when the baby's in the womb. Why? Because it's the truth. When a baby is still in progress in a mother's womb, the baby learns everything, hears everything, knows all. So when the mother is doing Tehillim, she's doing mitzvot, she says divrei Torah, she talks about Torah to her tummy, and the father can do the same. It works wonders for the child. The child is raised with kedusha and tahara. I always tell people when mommies are pregnant, the father has a responsibility. Every single night, you go to the ima's tummy and you say Shema, you say Torah tziva lanu, you talk to your child before you go to bed. In the morning, you wake up. If your wife is awake, you go to the tummy, you say Mudani, you say Boker Tov to your child. Very, very important. Baby really responds to that. There's been proof. Babies respond to it. They're already hearing Torah. First thing in the morning to hear Torah, last thing at night. I've said this to people and they do it. And they do it. People come and tell me, people that are having Baruch Hashem, they're like third or fourth child. They go, I still do it. I go, every single night, I'm the one saying Shema. Every single morning, I say Modeh Ani. The baby hears it. It's so important for the baby's neshama to start early. One time, I think it was Rav Wolbe, who was the tzaddik of the generation, that was, he was the expert on childbearing and shalom bayit. I think it was Rav Wolbe once asked, when should a father or mother, when does the responsibility kick in to really teach your child, to do chinuch, upbringing your child in the right path? So he said, how old is your child? He said, let's say he said 6 months old. He said, well, you're 15 months late. Meaning, it starts from conceivement. You start as soon as your wife is pregnant, you start already. You're already a father, you already teach the child, you already talk to the child, there's studies now that they say like, you put classical music, and headphones. Have you heard those studies? You put headphones, classical music, blah, blah, blah. Okay? But at the same time, those studies are true because it does relax them. It does help them. It's important. But why do classical music if you could do so much better? We have Torah. It's the greatest music in the world. Do Tehillim, do Shema out loud so the child hears it. It's so important because a child that's born already having been infused with that, and the fact that child already recognizes mommy's voice, Abba's voice in a very spiritual way. We think these things don't have an effect. Every single one of us, believe it or not, in our subconscious have memories of things we've heard before we were even born. It just doesn't come out because it's way, way back there. Way back there. These things have an effect. They're very important. So now, second, I just wanted to share one more thing. As we said, because one second. Okay, we're going to get there. All right, now he says, and this is the reason why a woman is called Em Kol Chai, the mother of all life. It says in the 5th parak in Ketubot, Daf Samech Aleph, page 61. This is also very important. There is halachot that are involved in marriage. Okay, a guy goes and marries a girl. Now, the girl comes from, let's say, for a lack of a better word, she comes from a lower class family than his. Let's say he grew up very wealthy, she grew up not so wealthy. So he's used to a certain type of a life, she's used to much, much less. So imagine a guy marries this girl and goes, she'll be happy with whatever I get. I'll just maintain the same life she's had before. She was raised driving Hyundai, no problem. I'll get her a Hyundai, So the halakha says, Minayin she'ola imo ve'ena yoredet imo. The halakha is, the Gemara says, that a person that marries a girl, if she's on a lower, let's say she came from a lower class family, and he's from a higher class family, she is ole imo. She needs to be brought up to his level. Meaning he can't say, she'll be happy. Nope. He needs to provide to her according to his level. If he's on a high level, he needs to apply that to her, bringing her up to that level. We ain't done yet, man. Y'all gonna be sorry you came to this class tonight. Rabbi Elazar Amar, Rabbi Elazar says, Rabbi Vena Yoredet. Rabbi Elazar says, Ki hayta em kol chai. The reason for this is because she is the mother of all living. Lechayim nitana, meaning Chava was granted as a wife to Adam HaRishon for life, for the sake of life. Meaning she needs to have a good standard of living. Velo letza'ar nitana. But she was not granted to Adam in order to downgrade. You know? It's basically like saying she was given to Adam HaRishon as a favor. Can't downgrade her. So too, if she comes from a certain standard of family that you might not agree with so much, you gotta, if she wants it, you might have to actually provide that. You need to help to make sure that she is comfortable the way she is. That's a responsibility of a man. It's difficult. Most women, 99.9% of women don't expect that from a guy, right? But I hope so. But, however, that's what basically is brought down in the Gemara. The Maharsha says, Adam first called his wife Isha. The Torah calls her Isha, right? Ish and Isha. He was called man. She was called the woman, Isha. Right? Dichtiv lezot yigare Isha ki me'ish. Because the pasuk says, therefore she is called Isha because she came from Ish. Right? She came from the man. Right? She stole a rib. God took a rib from Adam HaRishon and made Chava. So it says she was called Isha because she comes from Ish, from man, right? But then her name changed. When did she become Chava? If her name was Isha, when did her name become Chava? We never thought about this, right? She already had a name. God gave her that name. Or Adam and God. Then her name changes to Chava. When did this happen?
After she ate.
Exactly. After she ate from the tree and she literally forced Adam HaRishon to, I'm kidding. After she ate from the tree Etz HaDa'at and she gave to Adam HaRishon to eat from the Etz HaDa'at, and because of that, Adam was cursed. Adam got many curses. That he has to work harder. Life is going to be more difficult. You're going to work with the sweat of your forehead. It's going to be difficult to make ends meet. And on top of that, you're going to have her to worry about, to take care of. She got some also negativities that came to her, but not as much as Adam. Even though, surprisingly, some could say she was responsible for it. But,
no? You say Chava da'ata. She gave her opinion to him. Chava.
Right. So she was more responsible in a sense, but she didn't get as much as the negativity that came to Adam. So therefore it says, after she sinned, Chazar likrota Chava. Adam decided to call her Chava. Why? Kedei shelo yomru, so that people don't say sheyarda migdulata bishvil achet, that she came down from her level because of that sin. Ela af achar achet, rather even after the sin, he bigdulata, she still stands in her highest level. Bishvil shayta em kol chai. Why? Because she's the mother of all life. Adam said, I don't want people to now connect her to me anymore. Adam said he's already cursed. He's got a curse on him. She doesn't have as much. So he changed her name and said, I want her to be always remembered as Em Kol Chai. She still, no matter what happened, she up here. She still remains in that high level. Why? Because she's the mother of all life. Shekol bnei ha'olam ba'u mimena. Because everybody comes from her. Without her, life doesn't exist. This is, by the way, and from here, the Gemara learns, by the way, that the level of her living does not become downgraded to go down to her husband's level. Meaning, everybody has to have common sense, right? Shalom Bayit, the way a woman and a man get married needs to be with understanding of each other. A woman has to understand where her husband stands in life, financially, in every way, and vice versa, right? But if push comes to shove, according to the Gemara, a woman can say, listen, I'm used to a different kind of a life. And that's the type I want. Now, that kind of a woman could live alone the rest of her life. It could happen. I'm being very, very serious. If a woman puts her foot down, and says, listen, this is the standard of life that I was raised on, and no ifs, no buts, okay. Some people are like, listen, I can't make you happy. What am I going to do? It's reality. That's the reality of it. But according to the Gemara, she can. Why? Because she is not a part of the curse of the workforce, so to speak. I don't have to have it difficult to live. Adam had to have that difficulty. I don't. I am here to be a life giver. I am here to be Ezer Kenegdo, to be your helper, to back you up no matter what. But I expect a certain thing. Now, unfortunately, today it's gotten out of hand in some circles where, unfortunately, even in the circles that the girl might not come from such a prestigious, she expects the world and then some, right? And that has been causing a lot of shalom bayits. And because of that, many men complain that, they want this, they want that. I get it. But I've always said this publicly, I've said it personally to people. The challenges are on both sides. It's always been on both sides. The men have their issues, so the women have their issues. If both agree to certain things, like it was the olden days, anytime you have a question as to how do you maintain a relationship, okay, just ask yourself, how did your grandparents maintain their relationship for 50, 60 years? Just think about something that they had that you don't have. You know what our grandparents had that unfortunately we have very little of in our relationships? It's two things. Patience and challenges. Our grandparents, great-grandparents, some of our parents, depending on what generation you are, they had real challenges. But they were very patient with each other. For them, it was like, this is it. This is life. Yeah, it's not going to be all smooth and nice and dandy. Yes, he's got issues. Yes, he gets angry. Yes, and he was like, yes, she's got this and she's got that. They made it. Nobody is perfect. They made a decision. He's my husband. She is my wife. They made that decision. No matter what, we're doing this. No matter how hard it gets, we're gonna do it. No ifs, no buts. Very rarely would happen that it was a very bad situation. Yeah, of course, you gotta get out. That's why Torah instituted divorce. It's there for a reason. Lo aleinu. You should never know, but it's there. Right? But they lived through thick and thin. One of the greatest challenges in relationships today is people don't know how to deal with challenges. They just don't want to. It's like, ain't nobody got time for that. That's the attitude. Like, why should I? Oh, he got so mad. I'm not you. Yeah, he's human. So he blew the hoop. Yes, or he became this way or that way. Or is it really something you definitely cannot live with? Well, the world is going to come. You don't have your issues. You don't have your everybody's got their challenges. We need to learn to be more patient, to be more understanding. We need to learn that life comes with ups and downs. It's not always going to be dandy and great. There is no perfect relationships. It's not possible. It's not even in the name. Marriage is two opposites. Finding each other, they're from two different worlds. You're a woman, you're emotional, you're spiritual, you're heavenly, you're supposed to be disconnected from this world. A man is physical, logical, very, they're very reality oriented, right? Women are emotional, unicorns. It's just,
Careful, Rabbi.
it's just, you know what I'm saying? It's like rainbows and unicorns and popsicles. I don't know why I thought of Skittles. But that's how it is. We're exact opposites. And in Hashem's miraculous decision and wondrous ways, Hashem makes that these two people match. But that match comes with its friction. It's supposed to be there. I'm not like you, you're not like me. There's things that you like that I don't like. It's you're built differently, I'm built differently. So we make it work. It needs to be that way. That's what builds a family. That's what builds foundations. Foundations of buildings aren't built with blowing. You got to get your hands dirty. You got to get cement and pick up hard, heavy bricks, and you build. You work hard. Marital life is the same way. You build together. Yes, there's going to be ups and downs. Yes, there's going to be. I said this at a wedding a few weeks ago. Got a lot of laughs, but it's the truth. A lot of times we see in weddings, and I'm still going to repeat this in weddings. A lot of times we go to weddings. Not that chas v'shalom, I'm not putting anybody down. But rabbis like it, or like the chatan and kala like it when the rabbi comes and says, I checked the gematrias of your names, the numerical values of your names, and the numerical value of your name is 232, and the numerical value of his name is 552, and both put them together, it spells out unicorn. What is a unicorn? It's a, and they talk about it and how, yes, you guys are meant for da-da-da-da. So I did a wedding a couple of weeks ago, and I'm like, by the way, looked at the chatan and kala and I said, do you know what the numerical value of your names are? And their eyes, right? No.
It's evil.
And they're like, no. And everyone's like, no. And I'm like, I don't either. And I'm like, and I don't care. And everyone's like, I'm like, you know why? Because it doesn't matter. If you're not willing to work, I don't care if the numerical value of your name spells out perfect. Right? If you're not willing to work hard, if you're not willing to understand each other, you're not willing to work with each other, you're not willing to put up with each other, I don't care if the numerical values of your name say God. It ain't gonna work. It's just as simple as that. I think that is the greatest shalom bait advice you could get. People think marriage is bliss. You're stupid if you think that way. If you're going into, and it's all because of social media and movies. It's like, oh my God, they put it like they grab a pen from each other or a cup and their hands touch like. Next thing you know, they're married and they're living happily ever after. It's not. Be'ezrat Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu should help. All homes should have shalom bayit and be full of Torah and mitzvot. Batenem am be'Yisrael. But when does that shalom bayit come? With work. It's not going to just come on its own. It's not. It's simply not happening. People have to work. It's constant. I always, when I'm doing chatan classes for the chatans that are getting married, I always tell them, she is never going to get tired of flowers. 20 years down the line, she's still going to want flowers. But 20 years down the line, it could get tiring. Like, seriously, like, you know I love you already. It's like, dude, we're 50 already. You chichi flowers. You know, next week it's gonna gan, then I have to throw it out. You know, it's like, but that's the name of the game. That's the name of the game. You keep working at it. And I'm not saying like if she says, listen, sweetie, I really, please stop bringing flowers. I hate flowers. You know, it makes me sneeze. And no, I love you. I'm bringing you flowers. I'm going to plant flowers in your kitchen. You know, that's a suicide mission. All right. I'm saying if you know that the flowers is an example, you know she likes flowers, 50 years, it's flowers. I mean, other things too, hopefully, right? But I'm saying you need to know that the work doesn't end. You know, whenever I see old people walking together in the street, it gives me such nacha. It's like they did something right. I see on Shabbat sometimes older couples holding hands, going to bed. Can I say, oh, it's so beautiful. It's so amazing. They did something right. You think they didn't have hardships? You didn't have difficulties? You didn't have their ups and downs? They worked through it. You know, I wish people today would understand what our grandparents, parents went through. Like I think about the things my parents went through. Dude, I don't know how they did it. I don't know how they did it. I don't know, being immigrants in a country they don't speak the language of, leaving businesses, homes, everything behind to come together and then to have their kids be raised in America. And then, yeah, Daddy, you don't even understand. You know, Dad's like, touch me, you know, it's like, the guy's like, I moved mountains before you know how to play a Nintendo, right? I was doing real work. You know, it's crazy because the things you think you'll never hear back, Bezrat Hashem, you guys, when you get married very soon, you have your own kids, you'll see, it's the same for everyone. It's the same for everybody. You know, your father used to tell you, you know, you think this is hard, and you go, yeah, you used to go to school when it was, the Shah had a sword, whatever. Like, but it never gets old. I have that with my kids. And it's like, I don't want to bike to school. I'm like, what do you mean? I biked everywhere. Yeah, okay, I know. You were in Iran, bike. You know, it's like, and I think to myself, I'm like, I did that to my parents. You know? Hello, what am I asking? Like, what are you asking? Like, I'm telling you to bike. That's what it's like, you know? How many bikes did I have growing up? See, as we go on, the generations become more spoiled and more, I deserve more. Right, and so what happens? We as parents have to teach our kids also that it's very, very important to understand that life is not all. Bezrat Hashem, it's going to be amazing, but you got to work hard. Life means you got to work hard. Yes, school is hard. Yes, yeshiva is hard. Yes, seminary is hard. Yes, it's hard. It's difficult. Our parents had those difficulties, and I'm telling you, the success of our parents' relationships, part of it was their difficulties and the way they dealt with it together. They put up with each other. There's no other way of saying it. They put up with each other. We need to learn to put up with each other. That's it. To end off our shiur, I want to say that this is one of the reasons why. Two things. One is that when Adam HaRishon changed Chava's name from Isha to Chava, he did it at the right moment, right? He did it when she sinned. So technically speaking, what happened after Chava sinned? What curse came into the world? Death. Just say it. What? Death. No. Understanding definitely didn't come into the world.
There was no death before?
There was no death before.
There was no people before.
They were the
first ones.
Right, but they were not supposed to die. And when Chava ate from the tree and gave from that tree, death came into the world. So if you really think about it, she shouldn't be called Chava.
Chaya?
You know, yeah, I mean, she brought death in the world. But so she should be called like, I don't know, something that has to do with death, not life. Right? What does Adam do? He emphasizes on the life. And he says, I'm going to change your name from Isha because I want you to stay in your gadlut, in your gedolah, in your praiseworthy highest level. I'm going to call you Chava. Why? Ki hi hayta em kol chai, because you're the mother of all life. You know what lesson we learn? People make mistakes. Adam said, so she made a mistake. She's going to walk around the world for the rest of her life thinking she brought death into the world. I won't let that happen. I'm going to call her Chava, life. You are life. Don't you ever think of yourself like that. You want to learn a lesson from the first man ever created. You can't blame it on nobody. He had no in-laws. He had nobody to blame for the wife. Nobody forced the wife. Nothing. He made that decision on his own to say, I will not look at my wife negatively. Why? Because he had nobody else. What did we just say? Husband and wife have to feel, I got nobody else. This is it. I will put up with whatever I got. I will work through things. Again, I'm not saying if chas v'shalom, it's a situation that, there are situations that the only way is out. I'm not talking about those situations. I'm talking about situations that can be taken care of. You can work through. Adam worked through the hardest situation. He could have turned and said, we were just born. We just got life. Guess what you did? But he didn't. He chose not to dwell on that. He chose to dwell on positivity. Don't worry about it. You are learning Shalom Bayit from the first man ever created. It's a big deal. That's number one. Number two is that from here we see, as we said, the woman of the house is the one in charge of the ruchniut, the spirituality of the home. She's the one who brings up the kids when they're little to infuse them with love of Torah, love of mitzvot, love of Judaism. Therefore, she is not as obligated as men in the mitzvot. Because her mitzvah is more into the upbringing of the child, of the family, than doing mitzvot. Imagine if a woman had to do mitzvot. You know, women always, like, I've had women ask me like, but I want to put on tefillin. You know, did we do this one time? Yeah. Right? I want to put on tefillin. Like, okay, so you want to put on tefillin? Wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning. Don't miss the zaman of Kriyat Shema. Don't miss the zaman of the exact time for the Amidah. But you can't, because you're going to have different things to do. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu, in his wisdom, understood that I'm creating a woman. She's going to have a very difficult task, which means the baby goes, at times, God knows when, she needs to take care of the baby. Right now, she can't be like, it's a time for tefillin, I'm going to miss the time for tefillin, let me put on my tefillin and then I'll give you milk. You can't do that. Therefore, you don't have the mitzvah of tefillin. Why? Because at any time, you need to be taking care of things that are much more important. You're not obligated in sukkah for the same reason. Because I can't be told to only eat in the sukkah. I'm running around. I got to go pick up the kids. I got to go do this. I got to cook for the family. I got to eat when I can. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu understood. I'm giving a job to the Eshet Chayil. I'm giving a job to the man of the house. The job of the man of the house is one thing. So he has to be logical. He's got to be mathematical. He needs to do. He needs to teach. The woman is the spiritual, emotional backbone of the home. She can't be tied down to mitzvot. She can't be tied down to be told, okay, now you do Shema, now you do Arvit, now you do this. Yeah, how is the family going to survive without the woman running things, right? So and this is, we just saw the reason behind all of it as to why the woman did not get all the mitzvot is because she had something more important than mitzvah of upbringing the family. She's literally The pillar. Akeret habayit. She's the pillar of the home. As they say, the man is the head of the household. Right? That's what they say. The man is the head of the household. And the woman is the neck. The head don't move without the neck. And that's the truth with an F.
Let's see.
Baruch Adonai le'olam, amen, amen.